Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to whoever you may be or whatever time you may be watching this. Welcome to the 8th episode of the LVM podcast. My name is Rebecca Benny, and today I will be talking about grieving the death of a parent that I wasn't close with. So, as some may or may not know, I created LVM Advantage and the LVM podcast in honor of my mother who was murdered in 2014. I started this brand last year in 2020 on her 6th anniversary, like death anniversary, I should say. And honestly, it's been difficult for me, doing this in her honor and raising homicide awareness only because I wasn't close with her. I haven't fully talked about my journey and everything that I feel only because I feel like this is the part of my story that has been really holding me back this whole time. My relationship with my mother really wasn't, that great at all. I mean, hence why, I took probably 6 years to even just acknowledge, her death or just actually state it publicly. I was brought up in a very strict household, I should say an Asian household where, mainly we focus on our work and our school and education and, paying attention to relationships and emotions aren't really first priority. And that is the type of environment I was brought up in. Because of that, I guess, whatever my mother went through, she brought that onto me and made sure that I only focused on my work and school and everything else, which, kind of hindered our relationship because she was always on my case. And, I'm not against discipline or anything, but I feel like discipline should not interfere with your relationship with your child, which is, I feel like, was the main reason why we weren't even close. And it's kind of irritating on my behalf because honestly, I really wasn't a bad child. I did nothing wrong. I was already restricted from doing a lot of things, so it's not like I could hang out with people if I wanted to. I was already restricted from hanging out with my family, which is honestly ridiculous in my opinion. Besides that, I always got good grades. I pretty much I mean, I'm not the perfect A student because, there's always going to be someone else that they're going to compare you to in our family, no matter how good you are. Good enough is honestly not enough at all. You have to be over the top, an overachiever for every single thing. And if you just make one simple mistake, it's everything is over in the world, which is honestly very dumb. But maybe I'll save that for another day to talk about. And I guess to just give more context about our relationship, um, she spent most of her time at work, which means that she spent more time with her coworkers and developed a different type of relationship with them. They saw a different side of her than I saw at home. And it's just slightly irritating to me because I know she had more of a motherly relationship with, the younger children that would be working there. Younger meaning in their teens, 15, 16-year-olds, because obviously that's when you're allowed to work. And for example, there were a few of her coworkers at that age, who had children, and she would be supportive of them and, buying baby clothes with them. And I would see her buying all those baby clothes. And if that was me, having a child at that age, I would probably be disowned, honestly. It could have been, I mean, I probably would just never hear the end of it, of all the scolding and, just being talked down and whatever is, you get what I'm saying, hopefully. And it's just irritating to see how she could be close, to someone that isn't related to her, and to like, I don't know, just do things for them that I know that she would never actually show for me. And there's like this saying about how people will talk about there's nothing like a mother's love or hug or whatever, but I never understood that, I just never received that. And seeing her actually show that to other people is just so weird to me. There's only photos of me and my mother when I was a child, only because, one, it was forced. I didn't have a choice. They'll be like, you have to take a photo with her. So obviously, I would take that photo. Um, After, like, as I gotten older, probably in my teens, um, I didn't take any photos with her. Like, there was no reason for me to do that. Plus, she would be busy like pretty much 24/7. And I'm pretty sure the last photo we actually took with her, like my father and I that we took with her, was at someone else's funeral. So, I guess that's kind of ironic in a way. I think I was probably 15 years old. That was probably the last photo I'd taken with her. So yeah, it kind of sucks because I don't have those memories to really look upon that were like genuine. There were no genuine memories with her whatsoever. And I could like go through her like background and whatnot, but like, that's also another very irritating, scenario. She would every time I would be interested in her life, I was like a young child when I would ask questions about her life. I was probably 6, 7, or 8 years old, asking about like her life in the Philippines because, that's where she came from. And she would just like blatantly lie about, where she came from. She comes from a very poor town, and I guess she didn't want like her young daughter knowing where she was from. Maybe she was embarrassed about it. I mean, I'm not fully sure. And it kind of sucks that she couldn't really be open about her life. I mean, yeah, she's a human being. I understand that. So that's how she chose to deal with it. And that's how she chose to raise me. Do I agree with it? No. Do I think it's right? No, I don't. I think it's completely wrong, what she did. And it sucks because, she has a huge family on that side, around 8 siblings, including her mother that she had to support. Yet I literally didn't know anything about them. Like, she would probably tell me their names and, pretty much all that, but she wouldn't say anything else besides that, like about her childhood and how she was brought up. Everything that I asked about her, she lied about. I mean, I don't want to get into anything specific because it's absolutely ridiculous. But it's just like, I realized the truth about the things that she lied about after she died, which really upset me, um, you know, because other people knew more about her life than I did, even though I was in the same vicinity as her, living with her for pretty much 17 years of my life, yet I knew nothing about the woman that is so called my mother. It was just very frustrating. There would be like some moments that she would be open with me, but it would be about like the weirdest things. Her father also died when she was younger. Um, and she told me this when I was about 6 years old, I think. And I asked her, like, did she cry when her father passed away? She said yes. I also asked her when I was around 6 years, asking her if I'm allowed to like a boy, and she said yes. And when I was 13, I asked her if I'm allowed to go to prom, and she said yes. Now I didn't know. These are very weird questions that you're really like, why are these so difficult for someone to ask their mother? That's how like closed off we both were from each other, or how closed off she was for me, or just like expressing anything. So I was kind of afraid of asking any type of question that was like personal, like for her. And for my emotions, it's kind of like emotions were not allowed whatsoever. So it was kind of bold of me to even ask those in the first place. I mean, she probably thought it was crazy asking them, but I asked them because why not? I said a lot of dumb things as a kid. I mean, I have to say that's probably the only thing that I was a pretty bad child at, because I had a very smart mouth, which did get me in a lot of trouble. But besides the point, I was, pretty decent at everything else. But, coming back to the point of like that being like inappropriate for me to even ask her, like, even when I was, I believe I was in sixth grade, and we had this assignment, in that assignment, you talk about like what you see in your future. And I talked about my family and me having kids. And and sometimes I would like go to my mom and tell her about things that I'm doing in school, because I was doing my part as a daughter to keep her included. So when when I read that assignment to her, it specifically talked about the family part. She looked at me. She's like, "Why are you thinking about that? Why are you talking about that? You shouldn't be thinking about that right now." Like, what child or middle schooler, high schooler doesn't think about their future family? I feel like it's just natural. It is. I mean, I don't know. It was so weird. It still blows my mind till this day that she even said that to me. So my whole childhood and my whole adolescent life, as long as she was alive when I was with her, I feel like I've always tried to seek some type of validation. Just to hear her say that she's proud of me or some type of good job, which I have never actually received from her. I mean, verbally, I haven't received from her. She probably expressed it in other ways that, I didn't really see it. I mean, does it still hurt to say good job or I'm proud of you? I don't think it does. But I mean, that's not the point. My whole life, she, spent her time comparing me to other people, to other children, I should say. But, I think over time, I realized that I could not get her validation. I was not going to get anything out of her. So I'm just like, you know what? Might as well try to get her negative feedback on me. So I went against the things that she wanted me to do as I got older. So, I want to start like talking about how my like rift in our relationship has really affected my grief after she died. Over the past few years, I realized that I've actually forgotten a lot of things about her memory wise. And, there was a point where I actually felt like I never had a mother. And I really had forgotten who she was, and kind of like forgetting what she sounds like, what she looked like she was completely erased out of my life. It's kind of just knowing like that human being was there and what had happened to her, but did she ever exist? It's kind of like a blank space. I felt a lot of anger, guilt, and pretty much numbness. I just didn't feel anything at all for a very long time. And I'm still like that, honestly. I still don't think I feel anything, which is whatever. Honestly, I was just so angry at her because it was honestly her fault because of the terrible relationship that we had. I tried my best as a child to build something with her, and it made me so frustrated because how are you gonna like put all the weight and responsibility on a child to maintain a good relationship with their parent? Like, a child is not supposed to do anything. And if I'm going to be honest, I probably even started hating her more, like, during the first few years, because I'm just like, we really could have probably had a decent relationship, but I will never know because now she's gone. So what am I supposed to do? You know what I mean? Like, it's such a dumb scenario or just a dumb situation, and it's kind of frustrating because I really did my part as a child to be close with her. I feel like a part of me doesn't really want to let that hate go, because I'm pretty sure once I start letting that part go, I'll actually start realizing, the loss that I have in my life, and then all the emotions will start running in, and then, I don't know, it'll probably just hit, and I don't really think I'm ready for that as yet. Plus, I feel like, I just need to keep that role of hating my mother in a way. In the outside world where people don't really know who I am, I will pretty much say that I don't have a mother or something like that. And also for those who know me, aside from this page, or besides from LVM Advantage, those who actually personally know me that I don't really show emotion that much. I don't really talk about my mother that much. I don't talk about my life in general. So this has been a really different, separate journey for me, actually talking about my feelings and about my mother, especially because a lot of people know that I was never close to my mom. So it's just really weird for me in general. Even now, I still have this hesitation of even talking about her with those close to me, because I'm just you know me, that I don't like talking about her. So, but I don't know. It's just something different for me, and this is why it has been difficult for me to actually be truly open about my journey of losing my mother. And I'm glad I finally talked about it, because I feel like now I can actually be more open, and I wouldn't say vulnerable, because sometimes it's been out of place for me when I make posts on my Instagram page about her, because it's just do I really feel like this, or am I pushing these feelings away? Because at the same time, on the outside, I show that I don't really like her that much, or don't really care about her that much. But then on this page, I talk about her and how she deserves to be talked about. It's kind of aren't I defeating the purpose? Or I don't know. It's this feels like I'm just doing the opposite of everything that I am pretty much raising awareness for. I think this is really important to say, and is one of the main points of making this video. And it's kind of hard to explain, but at the same time it's necessary to explain. Even though my relationship with my mother was terrible and we didn't really have one, it's not like I wanted her to die. It's not like I wanted her to die in the way that she did. I did not want her to be murdered, and I don't think she deserved to be murdered. I remember talking to my father, very recent after she died, and we were just talking about how she probably wasn't the best wife or the best mother, but she was a decent person, and she did not deserve what happened to her. And I think about that pretty much every day, because I know she didn't deserve that, and I know she was very hardworking, and she had to do what she had to do in order to survive in this world. Regardless of how she may have treated me or whatever type of relationship we had, she did what she had to do. And for those that may be out there confused about their grief because they weren't close to their loved ones, I just want you to know that it is okay to grieve a loved one that you never really had a proper relationship with. You're allowed to grieve and be mad about the relationship that you didn't have. You're allowed to be mad because you weren't close with them. You're allowed to be mad about the memories that you'll never have with them, or you never did have with them. You're allowed to feel how you want to feel about the situation, and there's nothing wrong. I can tell you from experience that it's been very weird for me to even talk about grief and my mother, because I felt like I wasn't allowed to grieve her because we weren't close. That is how I felt. But I want to say that you can. It is a different type of grief than other types. I would see people on, these pages talking about how close they were to their parents or to their sibling or to their loved one or whoever, and I'll be like, I don't feel that way, and I will never understand that. For those who are going through this, such as I am, you know, your grief also matters. And it sucks. I'm going to say that. It's just something that we will never get that chance to be close to our loved one. And, you know, we see other people on other pages about how we could have been that. But, you know, we'll never know. So, yeah, I want to thank you guys for listening to this podcast episode. I hope you all know that your feelings are very valid. If you did like this video, please like and subscribe to this video. If you're listening to this on a podcast streaming platform, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. And, you know, I hope you all will continue to support me and join me on raising homicide awareness. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.